Hi, my name is Katrina Melendez, and I will be reporting about ectopia cordis, which is a condition wherein a defect is found in the body cavity. So for the outline of my presentation, first we'll have an introduction, next would be the case presentation and discussion, third would be the pathology of the condition, fourth would be its prenatal diagnosis and prognosis, fifth would be its treatment, and lastly, a conclusion. So first and foremost, what is ectopia cordis? Ectopia cordis is a rare congenital cardiac malformation defined as a defect in the anterior chest wall and abdominal wall with abnormal placement of the heart outside the thoracic cavity, with associated defects in the parietal pericardium, diaphragm, sternum, and in most cases, cardiac malformations. Ectopia cordis is also defined as complete or partial displacement of the heart outside the thoracic cavity. This condition was first observed 5,000 years ago, and the term ectopia cordis was first described by Howler et al. In 1706. The prevalence of this condition is estimated to be between 5.5 and 7.9 per million live births. So, I will be presenting a case wherein a preemie gravida with 34 weeks of amenorrhea and no risk factors for congenital defects was referred for a obstetric ultrasound. There was no history of consanguineous marriage, antenatal infection, and drug ingestion. A fetal ultrasound was performed and found a lower chest and upper abdominal ventral wall defect with a complete herniation of the heart through the thoracic cavity. The part of the left hepatic lobe and peritoneal membrane was also seen bulging through the lower part of the midline defect. Moreover, a moderate amount of fetal ascites and bilateral pleural effusion with generalized body wall edema was found. Craniofacial structures, spine, and genitourinary system in both extremities were found to be normal. So after overnight, spontaneous delivery occurred. The postnatal examination findings of the newborn were collaborated with prenatal ultrasound findings. The newborn deteriorated rapidly in spite of supportive management and died unfortunately within few hours of birth before any investigations and surgical intervention could be undertaken. So for figure number 1, it is an ultrasonographic image of the fetal trunk showing lower chest and upper abdominal ventral wall defect with complete herniation of the heart through the thoracic cavity. Figure number 2 is also an ultrasonographic image of the fetus showing the part of the left hepatic lobe and peritoneal membrane bulging through the lower part of the midline defect. So in figure 3, it is a photograph of the newborn showing the complete herniation of the heart and part of the left hepatic lobe and peritoneal membrane through the midline thoraco-abdominal anterior wall defect. So why does this defect occur? Genesis of ectopia cordis has not been fully explained, although several theories have been offered. Predominant theory states that, first, there is primary failure of descent and midline fusion of the lateral body folds. Second is that there is an early rupture of chorion and/or yolk sac, causing failure of midline fusion. Third would be the amniotic band syndrome. And lastly, it states that ectopia cordis may be associated with major chromosomal anomalies, especially trisomy 18. So the majority of ectopia cordis patients have associated intracardiac defects. So in the case presented beforehand, intracardiac structures were very well seen. And it is a thoraco-abdominal type of ectopia cordis. So for the pathology of this condition, more research is needed into the possible causes of ectopia cordis. It is congenital, meaning that the condition develops in the womb and is present from birth. The breastbone or sternum is a long, flat bone that connects to the ribs and forms the front part of the rib cage, protecting the heart and lungs. If the breastbone fails to develop properly in a fetus, the heart can develop outside of the chest because it is not contained by the rib cage. The condition may also appear as a part of a rare phenomenon known as the pentalogy of Cantrell, in which other parts of the body, such as the belly and diaphragm, have also not developed in the correct place. So, what is the pentalogy of Cantrell? Pentalogy of Cantrell is a condition characterized by a combination of midline birth defects that can potentially involve the breastbone, the diaphragm, the pericardium, the abdominal wall, and the heart. It can have varying degrees of severity and can be lethal. Moreover, most affected infants do not have all the potential defects, and the exact cause of this condition is still unknown. Most cases occur sporadically, but familial cases have been reported. Thus, the treatment is based on the symptoms present in each affected patient. So another question to be answered, is ectopia cordis inherited? Unfortunately, a responsible gene has not yet been identified. Therefore, no genetic testing is available to provide a definitive prenatal diagnosis. While ectopia cordis is generally considered to be an isolated sporadic malformation, there have been a number of reports linking it to chromosomal abnormalities. Reported karyotype abnormalities include trisomy 18, Turner syndrome, and 17q+. Other defects were observed to be associated with this malformation, which include cleft lip with or without cleft palate and encephalocele as part of the ventral midline defect in the spectrum of Cantrell's pentalogy. So, ectopia cordis can be classified into 5 types. First would be cervical, wherein it occurs in 3% of cases, in which the heart is located in the neck with the sternum that is usually intact. Second is the thoracocervical ectopia cordis, which occurs in 64% of cases, in which the heart is partially in the cervical region, but the upper portion of the sternum is split. Third would be thoracic ectopia cordis, in which the sternum is completely split or absent, and the heart lies partially or completely outside the thorax. Fourth would be thoraco-abdominal ectopia cordis, which occurs in 18% of cases. This usually accompanies Cantrell syndrome. And fifth would be abdominal ectopia cordis, which occurs in 15% of cases, in which the heart passes through a defect in the diaphragm to enter the abdominal cavity. So the type of ectopia cordis your child can also depend on whether the heart is totally uncovered, covered by a serous membrane, or covered by the skin. Depending on the type of ectopia cordis as well as the associated heart defects, it would be better to predict the outcomes and treatment options for your child after birth. So we have an image here to clearly visualize the different locations of the different types of ectopia cordis. So for the prenatal diagnosis of this condition, first we have ultrasonography. Ectopia cordis can be diagnosed by routine prenatal ultrasonography as early as in 10 to 12 weeks of pregnancy. Of those not diagnosed antenatally, most result in stillbirth or die shortly after birth due to their frequent association with intrinsic cardiac and other congenital defects. So another way to diagnose this condition would be magnetic resonance, wherein magnetic resonance imaging is also becoming common in prenatal evaluation to document and plan for management of complicated congenital anomalies. And in this slide, we have an example of a magnetic resonance image, which you can clearly say that it differs from an ultrasonographic image. So for the prognosis of this condition, about 90% of fetuses with ectopia cordis are stillborn. Those who survive birth will die within the first few days of life. The outlook depends on the complexity of the deformity and whether there are additional heart defects or further complications. In most cases, the only chance of survival is emergency surgery. Infants who do survive are usually those who had a normal functioning heart with no defects other than with their heart developing outside the chest. Survivors of the preliminary surgery will require a series of additional surgeries and lifelong medical care. So if you choose not to carry the fetus to term, termination is an option for mothers. Moreover, the various clinical types of ectopia cordis also have different prognoses. Cervical and thoracic ectopia cordis is usually fatal within days because the heart is exposed and malformed, whereas abdominal ectopia cordis carries a better prognosis because intracardiac abnormalities are rarer and the absence of omphalocele reduces the morbidity and mortality. Ectopia cordis is frequently associated with other congenital defects involving multiple organ systems, and as much as 80.2% have associated intracardiac defects, which include ventricular septal defect, atrial septal defect, tetralogy of Fallot, left ventricular diverticulum, and pulmonary hypoplasia. So for the treatment of this condition, the ultimate management of ectopia cordis is surgical correction. The first attempted repair of ectopia cordis was performed in 1925 by Cotter and Willens, and in 1975, Koop achieved the first successful repair of thoracic ectopia cordis in just 2 stages. In 1995, it was also reported that there was a successful single-stage repair of thoracic ectopia cordis. So during this surgical closure, in most cases, the thoracic cavity is small with little mediastinal space for the heart. An attempt to close the chest wall often results in hemodynamic embarrassment, secondary to kicking of the great vessels, possibly due to their long length and abnormal course or compression of the heart. The steps usually taken for the treatment are the following. First is the closure of the chest wall defect, either by doing primary chest wall closures or by using bone or cartilage as tissue graft or artificial prostheses like acrylic plates and Marlex mesh. Second would be closure of the sternal defect. Third would be the repair of the associated defects such as omphalocele. And fourth would be the placement of the heart into the thorax. And lastly would be the repair of the intracardiac defect. So the stage repair with the initial intervention is aimed at providing soft tissue coverage of the heart. If primary approximation with skin flaps cannot be achieved, or if there is any hemodynamic compromise, then a split thickness skin graft, cadaveric skin graft, or prosthetic material can be sutured to the skin edges. Given that ectopia cordis has a very poor prognosis, there was one survival case which reported a man who continued living with his condition at the age of 18 years old. So this is R. Pitt, who was born with the most serious form of disorder known as ectopia cordis, and he told the interviewee that he didn't have any problems and that he had gotten used to living with his condition. He also said that, "I can do everything like a normal person and don't have any trouble with my jobs on the farm, whether it be tilling the land, driving a tractor, or riding a bike." However, because part of his diaphragm doesn't work, the rest of the muscles are working overtime. This means that any other infection he might pick up, such as pneumonia, would be much worse for him than for a normal patient. One doctor from his country said that He has learned to cope with the defect, but he is very vulnerable, and we don't know how much longer he can continue living as he does at the moment. So for this case, it is very amazing because it is very rare for babies to survive after birth given their condition. So to conclude this report, although ectopia cordis is not a very rare abnormality, but if present, it is associated with sternal cleft, diaphragmatic hernia, omphalocele, and an intracardiac defect, then it would be known as Cantrell's pentalogy. The primary mode of prenatal diagnosis is ultrasonography, and the immediate treatment is surgery. So that is the end of my report. Thank you for listening.